Healing is all fun and games until you have to get out and go into the real world, until you have to really show if the healing has really worked and paid off for you. And that's hard. That's difficult. I'm telling you. It's easy to be in hermit mode and be like, I'm completely healed. I don't have anything else I have to work on. That's until, your mom comes home, your girlfriend comes home, your brother, your sister comes home, and then they evoke something within you that you thought you healed, but you really didn't. It's so interesting that when you're in that isolation phase, you can heal a lot within yourself, but there's only so much that you can do. There's only so much that you can do without outside exposure to the real world. There's only so much that you can do when you aren't around things that are challenging you. We have to start looking at the world as a reflection of the things that we need to work on. When we're in those environments like work or school or around other people, right? We have to view those people and those circumstances, those situations as reflections of ourselves. And when you start looking at the world as a reflection of yourself, you start viewing the world a little bit differently. You start being a little bit more loving, a little bit more kind to others, a little bit more unconditional to others, and less judgmental, less angry, less anxious. When we realize that everyone is, in a sense, a reflection of us. Seriously, or a reflection of the things that we do need to work on within ourselves. So when it comes to balancing your elements and when it comes to, survival in the real world and not just by your lonesome and by yourself, right? It requires you to have the balance of the elements within yourself. And I know there's this huge big thing about, zodiac signs, and I'm a earth sign, I'm a water sign, awesome, right? But the crazy part is we're all made up of every single element. We're physical. We have air. We're made up of 60% water, maybe even more, right? And we have fire. The fire exists within us. We have our own body temperatures. Like, that's fire, you know what I'm saying? So the thing is, we're all elements. We're all the elements. So the fact is, we shouldn't really be focused on just one element. We should be focused on every single one of the elements. And a lot of times we can get stuck in our ways within the element that we were born into. But let me let you realize something. We're meant to be Avatar. We're meant to master every single one of the elements so that when we get out to the real world and an element is thrown at us, we know how to balance that with another countering element, another polar opposite element that would allow us to be balanced in that situation. Because sometimes fire requires water to cool it down or to stop the fire. Sometimes earth and water need a balance together. One needs to understand grounding while the other needs to understand flow. And it's crazy, or it's interesting that sometimes we look for this in a partner. That's why they say opposites attract. Wow. Because it's polar opposites, right? It's you balancing out the other part of yourself. But the truth is, we can be compatible with anybody out here, whether we be friends or in a romantic sense. Because if we learned how to balance all the elements within us, we would know how to coexist with any element here on earth. So it's very important and essential for us to understand that we have to know that we are each one of the elements: earth, fire, water, and air. We are all of those elements. And within all of those elements, right, there are hundreds of other elements that exist within those elements under those categories. We also have to understand that we are spirits having a human experience as well as souls. And we have to understand that sometimes some situations calls for us to be in our spiritual realm. Sometimes some situations call for us to be in our mental, soulful realm. And other situations call for us to be in our body, to feel, because that's what the divine creator, what God and what they all wanted for each and every one of us as souls, is to experience life in the physical world as a spirit, but be able to be in the body to feel, to see, to hear, to endure, and live the delicious and delightful things that exist here on earth. How beautiful is that? To be able to experience the things here on earth that many other, quite not like many other beings can experience. We can think, we can, philosophize things, we can be spiritual, we can feel, we can taste, and we can have emotions. Like that is if you think about trifecta, that's quite the trifecta, might I say. We're able to experience life in such a profound way that is so exuberating and so exhilarating and so astonishing, really, if you think about it. And when we're having this experience, we have to know that we are all of these things. And sometimes it's difficult for us to conceptualize that, hey, I do need to be in my spirit today. Hey, I do need to be more in my body today. Hey, I do need to maybe use a little bit of my mental, soulful creativity, my ashe. Maybe I do need to use that. Okay? And that's completely fine. We don't have to pick and choose, but we can flow. We can even live inside all of those realms all at once because that's how powerful and creative and innovative each and every single one of us are. It's a beautiful thing. It's an amazing thing that we all have the capability of doing. I can't. Sometimes it's so profound that I can't even put it into words. But to be able to be yourself, to be authentic in the outside world, is to be balanced within the self. So how do we enter the outside world and understand that we have to remain balanced? First, it starts with the elements. It starts with you balancing the elements within yourself. And then going into the outside world is when you truly get to practice. You have to allow outside experiences with other people as a way to practice, as a way to get better at being you. Because how else are you going to get better at being you and being a spirit of divine essence and being a human of divine nature and being a soul of divine intuition? How else? There's no other way. You have to be around others. You have to allow uncomfortable situations within your life. Sometimes we run away from things that make us feel uncomfortable. But those things that make you feel uncomfortable are meant to make you grow. And I know sometimes a lot of people say that and it may sound cliche, but it's true. It's meant to make you evolve and expand, because if you continue living within the same reality that you are living in now and you don't have things to challenge you, to expand you, you will never grow. You will always be in your same box. And that's why some people, who have a certain perspective in life, sometimes they surround themselves with people that don't challenge them. And when you don't surround yourself with things and situations that don't challenge your mindset, your spirit, and your body, you're allowing yourself to stay the same and you don't grow. And this is why you can't be surprised why some people live in the same version of reality that existed hundreds of years ago. You know, in a mindset that existed that doesn't correlate with the times. Now we have to understand that as the earth grows, evolves, and changes, so do we. You are ever evolving being, spirit, and soul. So you have to understand that you are constantly changing and shifting with the times. The elements within you are shifting and they are changing. So you have to change. You have to have a different perspective. You have to be open. And you have to allow those situations to make you grow. You should get happy when things aggravate you, upset you in this world, or they evoke those emotions, because that's showing you the thing that you need to work on, the element you need to balance within yourself. Allow those people on the outside world to show you exactly who you are. And then internally, you can do the work. Do you see how that works? How people are the reflections for us to grow. And when you start looking at people being the reflection of you growing, you'll start love being around people who challenge your thought process, who challenge your beliefs. You'll start loving that. So start being in environments that challenge you, and don't be afraid to be around, to work with, to develop different relationships with different kinds of people, because those different kinds of people are just different kinds of elements that exist within yourself that have been beckoning for you to look at them, awaken to them, understand them, acknowledge them, and balance them. That's all that is. When something evokes emotion within us, when something doesn't sit right within us, that means there's some kind of element that's within us that's not sitting right. That's all that is. And so please continue to expose yourself. 11:11, I saw that. Please continue to expose yourself to things that make you uncomfortable, because that uncomfortableness is going to continue to your evolution. And I'll see you guys next time. Ashe, amen.